Hey guys, welcome to our Mega Ampharos showing, and this is pretty much Megaloral, the Pokemon, and his friends. So Mega Ampharos and friends. In a sense, out of all the Megas introduced in Ancient Origins, this one is my favorite. Not my favorite Pokemon, but my favorite out of the Megas we have in Ancient Origins. He is a 220 Electric type Pokemon, and he's got the nice horns and sick hair. Anyways, he has an attack called Exavolt. It is 2 electric, double colorless, and it does 120 base. You may do 50 more damage and leave your opponent's active Pokemon paralyzed. If you do, this Pokemon does 30 to itself. So it's kind of it's a really good attack because you paralyze your Pokemon for sure and do 50, so 170 in total. And paralyzation, the only bad thing or the only repercussion to it is you do 30 to yourself. It's not too bad. 30 is not too much of a big deal, especially if your opponent's Pokemon is paralyzed. They can't really attack you, so I mean, it's okay. He's weak to fighting, which is a bummer because fighting type Pokemon pack a punch, and he basically has a 3 retreat cost because that hair is pretty heavy, so 3 retreat costs, it makes sense. We're also going to take a look at the Ampharos-EX. He's a 170 type Pokemon. He's got Thunder Rod. We're not going to look at that too much, but basically it lets you look at the top 4 cards of your deck and attach as many electric energies that you find there to this Pokemon. The secondary attack is one we're going to be using a lot. It is Sparkling Tail. It does 100. This attack's damage isn't affected by weakness, resistance, or any of the effects of your opponent's Pokemon. It's the same attack cost as Mega Ampharos, so if you can do one, you can do the other pretty much. What's nice about this attack is it goes through any kind of effect really. So if there's a Pokemon that's living because it cannot be hit by EXs, Sparkling Tail goes through it. Also in the case of Mega Ampharos, if you're fighting against a Giratina deck, Sparkling Tail once again goes through Mega Giratina's Rebellious Wave, and you can do 102 Mega Giratina. Regice Resistance Blizzard is an effect placed on Regice itself, so Sparkling Tail goes through that. The only thing you gotta worry about is Pokemon like Ampharos-EX. He does Ice Caliber, and basically that attack is placed on Ampharos itself, so Ampharos cannot attack. But anything else which it's placed on the defending Pokemon, Sparkling Tail goes through. So it's a pretty neat attack because we're going to be using Exavolt and Sparkling Tail to our advantages, and that's going to make Mega Ampharos our primary attacker because with those 2 combinations, nothing really gets in its way besides, I mean, Ampharos-EX, but once again, Ampharos-EX itself is not a very popular EX either way, and you won't really run into those. We have his partner in crime, Vileplume. He's a 130 grass type, solar beam, fire energy, weaknesses, all that good stuff. But we're going to take special mentioning to irritating pollen. Its ability. Each player cannot play items from their hand, item cards from his or her hand. So things like switches, Professor Letter, Mega Turbos, Enhanced Hammers, Crushing Hammers, things like that do not work no more. Your opponent and yourself cannot play them, so basically it makes them clog up the deck or clog up their cards because item cards help you essentially item cards help you speed up your deck as much as possible. Like Trainer's Mail, say for instance you got 3 energies and you got Trainer's Mail. Trainer's Mail might have the option of getting you the Sycamore you need. However, you cannot play that with Vileplume because Vileplume does not care about your problems. He only cares about sitting on that bench. Anyways, we also got Shaman in here to help speed the deck with his ability set up as much as possible. These are the most essential Pokemon here just to help speed up Ampharos as much as possible to make sure Ampharos is doing his job properly. If you want to make this deck even faster, you would have to take out the Birches or Shauna and just put in more Shamans. However, Shaman is a rather expensive card in real life and is a rather hard to come by card in the Pokemon Online. I only run 2, that way this deck does not get hindered too much. But if you do want to run it faster, having more Shamans is the way to go. We have 2 Acrobikes just to help speed up the deck. Mega Turbos, that is just for Ampharos to get them ready as soon as possible. We can discard these energies just to Mega Turbo them back on. 2 Professor's Letter because we cannot miss a turn attaching energy. Or if we need to discard energy, we call Professor's Letter for them to discard them. 2 rare candies, and that's to get out Vileplume. Basically, if we have Ampharos ready to go and we have an Honest but not the Gloom or nothing ready, and it's turn 2, we can rare candy for the Vileplume. and we could rare candy a Vileplume and then have the whole setup going, because the sooner we item lock our opponent, the better off our chances are of winning the match, because our deck is set up but our opponent does not have his deck set up, if that makes sense. We also run 2 switches, that's for Vileplume and Ampharos. We play it just to keep Ampharos or Vileplume out of the area they're not supposed to be in. Say for instance our opponent's Lysander Vileplume out, we can go ahead and Hex Maniac and then switch back into Ampharos, or whatever you really need to do with switch. Or another case is we start off with Oddish and we have Ampharos, we get him later on, we can go in and switch him out of the way. We have 3 Transmail just to get these kind of items quicker. We got 3 Ultra Balls just to get out these Pokemon quicker, or say for instance we don't got any supporters in our hand, we can go into Ultra Ball for a Shaman and draw a bigger hand. We got 3 Versus-Seekers just to get back anything we think is valuable or necessary for our deck. We got 1 Hex Maniac, and Hex Maniac is a card you gotta be careful how you play. It is a very important card. However important it is, I always forget about it, so don't feel bad about it. It's just a card I'm not used to playing, so I'm not used to seeing it. It doesn't always come in clutch, but there are times when Hex Maniac does come in handy, so that's why I put it in this deck. Hex Maniac gets rid of Giratina's Rebellious Wave. It also gets rid of our own Vileplume's Irritating Pollen. So for whatever reason we need to get rid of, we need to play item cards again, we can Hex Maniac our own Vileplume, and we are able to play item cards again and play whatever we need. This works a lot differently online than it does in actual play. The reason why is because online, when you Hex Maniac, your opponent knows you Hex Maniac in a sense, because his cards shine or have a blue glow. Sometimes when you're playing in leagues or in tournaments, your opponent actually forgets you played Hex Maniac. However unlike that it is, there are cases when your opponent does forget, and he will still item lock himself. However, online that does not work because your cards shine a big blue and you're able to use them. So in leagues you might have a little more success with this, but online you might want to use it sparingly, just whenever you need to, in like the last ditch effort kind of thing. We also run 1 Lysander just to capture out anything we think is too much of a threat. We run 2 Birches and 1 Shauna. However, if you ever get a Sycamore with one of these, just Sycamore. So if you get a Shauna with a Sycamore or a Birch with a Sycamore, just Sycamore. It is a lot easier. It makes this deck go a lot faster. The only reason why I included these 2 is just so I always have some kind of hand or some kind of draw power. This deck is not a deck you can play it safe. This is not one of those decks where you can bide your time and play it safe. You have to play extremely risky at all times. The only reason you would not want to is because there are too many things you have to get rid of, and that's just too much of a blow. Say for instance, a Spirit Link, a Double Colors, a Hex Maniac, and I don't know, Mega Turbos. Like that would be a reason not to Sycamore. But in any other case, you want a Sycamore. You just Sycamore. It's a lot easier. You have to play this deck risky. We got 3 Shrine of Memories, which is I keep saying basically, I'm sorry, which is essentially the main point of the deck to attack Regice and Giratina or any safeguard Pokemon. You're allowed to use Mega Ampharos is allowed to use Ampharos-EX's Sparkling Tail, which is nice. It goes through a lot of things and it comes in quite clutch. We have Spirit Links so we don't end our turn when we evolve, and we have 4 Double Colors because that covers half of the attack cost for Exavolt. Do not worry about Crushing Hammers or Enhanced Hammers. Vileplume's got your back. And we got 6 Electric Energies just so we can power up to 2 or 3 Mega Amphoroses. You're more than likely not going to have 3 Mega Ampharos in any given match. You probably just have 2 in any given match. One can do a lot of work by itself, but just in case that one gets knocked out, the second one is to carry the rest of the way. You will most likely never have the 3rd Ampharos out and ready to attack. But if you want a little tips on how to run this deck, it is just that, play risky. What you want to do in my testing is you want to get 1 Mega Ampharos ready with all the item cards you have, then item lock them, and then work on your 2nd Ampharos just by manually attaching. And that is just my personal way of running it. It works very well. Hopefully you guys enjoy the match. I did have to voice it over because I messed up the audio, but yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoy the match. Sorry guys, I messed up a little bit. I messed up the audio, so I have to actually, I'm just voicing this over. We're going against Yas 109, and it's actually a pretty fun matchup. I don't want to spoil anything, but he's running a metal colors deck, and you can only assume what kind of decks those are. But yeah, I messed up the audio, so I'm just gonna voice it over. And we get we got like 2 bad hands, I think 2 mulligans, but now we got a decent hand. That's not the greatest, but we do got Shaman, so he's able to draw things. We can waste most of our cards right there. So yeah, it's pretty good. But we are just waiting on our opponents. So we're gonna go and put the Ampharos out because Oddish needs to stay in the background, and then the Ampharos can take the hits. We don't have any way of healing, but they're pretty bulky. All in all, yeah, they won't go down too easily. So let's see. Yeah, I'm explaining things, but it doesn't really work. So Dialga and Bronzong are the active, and it's actually kind of interesting. He's got Chrono Wind, which doesn't let us. It's one of the few Pokemon that Ampharos' Sparkling Tail does not work against, but luckily we did get a Birch, but I'm going to go and just get a Sycamore. Once again, Sycamore is going to be the card that you play above everything else. It is needed just to make the deck go a lot faster. I do have a decent hand that I could wait for, but like I said, things kind of need to act quick. But I decided to stay with this because a Mega Ampharos and Double Energy are pretty rare, not rare, but they're very essential cards to get. So my opponent opens up with Dialga, of course. He touches the Metal Energy. If he does, if he puts a double colorless, he will be able to do Chrono Wind against us. But since he can't evolve first turn, can't evolve his first turn, we're kind of safe. Normally these decks don't run Wally. It doesn't make sense for them to run Wally. He has Skyfill, which means this is a Mecha Ray deck with Dialga inside of it. Usually in Mecha Ray decks you would see Aegislash in the deck. You don't really see Dialga with it because Dialga is not your primary attacker. It would be of course Mecha Ray or Rayquaza colorless. That would be your primary attacker. We get a switch, which is good and all. We're gonna go ahead and Mega Evolve into our Ampharos, attach the double colors, and I'm gonna discard the Electric Energy and hoping I get a Mega Turbo, which I do. I also get Shrine of Memories. Shrine of Memories will be pretty nice. Keeps Mega Ray in kind of check because he can't build up his bench too much. I mean, he can counter our stadium with his stadium, but also limits him down. I'm gonna go and just Ultra Ball away the Shaman because I really don't need extra draw power. I already have 2 Sycamores. I had 3 before, but now I had 2 Sycamores in my hand. I'm gonna Exavolt to paralyze him because I'm afraid of his Chrono Wind. If he actually Chrono Wins at any point in time, he would pretty much lose because he can just Chrono Win for the game pretty much. So he does put on a Rayquaza, and he can switch. He can switch out right now because we don't have Vileplume, and he's evolving his Bronzongs, so now Mega Ray can get ready in basically a turn. Good news is basically Dialga is pretty much dead unless he manages to find a way to switch it out or puts Steel Shelter. He's gonna Sycamore, and let's see if he goes down. But I think it's looking pretty well for us. We got the Shrine of Memories, we got 2 Sycamores, we got a Ampharos loaded up. All we need is just a Vileplume just to lock the deck, which is actually in our favor because Mecha Ray decks actually have quite a bit of item cards. So if we can clog that up, then we're okay. I get a Verse Seeker, which is not amazing since I already have like all my Sycamores in the discard pile. But if I can get a Vileplume out, I think it'll be just fine. We can take a steady from right there. I do get a Vileplume, and I get an Ultra Ball and another Ampharos. I wouldn't really need the other Ampharos in this matchup because I'm already basically. I think 2 Ampharos would be good enough. The other one we don't really need too much. I'm using Professor's Letter because this will be the last turn I'm able to use my item cards. So I'm just getting rid of a lot of things here just to have everything set up. I'm getting the other Ampharos, that way I have 2 Amphoroses ready, 2 Megas in the field. And there we go, I play Vileplume and I go ahead and I can do Sparkling Tail and I can do Exavolt. Sparkling Tail will get the job done, and so will Exavolt. So right here, my biggest fear is he puts Skyfield and he puts down a lot of Pokemon basically, because I won't have enough time to basically react to that. Fortunately, because of its Mega Ray deck typing, they don't run too many supporters in their set. They run mostly item cards to help get to help speed up the deck. So he birched and got Tails, which is really unfortunate for him. He does get the Steel Shelter, but it only works on metal Pokemon, so Rayquaza, Mega Ray won't basically, he'll still be affected by special conditions. Either way, he is weak to electric, so it'll be down in one hit regardless. But yeah, so things aren't looking too bright for my opponent. There are a couple of things in this deck that can stall me out just a little bit. Hopefully we'll run into him. I'm not sure if I drew the Mega Turbo, but I have a Mega Turbo which I cannot use. He gets rid of our Shiny Memories. I do have another one, but I'm gonna go save it just in case, because I'm aware of what this deck kind of runs. I didn't have to do the Paralyze because I knock him out in one hit. He's gonna put out Shaman to Sky Return, do 30 to us, and then Sky Return. He's gonna Birch again, and this time he gets Steel Tails, which is still unfortunate for my opponent. It happens to me all the time. It just happens. He does put down Aegis Slash though, which is a pretty big wall because we have special energy on the active Ampharos, and we cannot attack it. But we got Shiny Memories, which I'm pointing out, and the Shiny Memories allows us to Sparkling Tail the Aegis Slash. So he's gonna go in Sky Return, put the chain back into his hand, and we are basically an EX away from winning. I'm still manually touching to the secondary Ampharos-EX just to have him ready just in case, and I do put my my Shiny Memories. I'm just checking real quick on things, and we're gonna go ahead and Sparkling Tail for 100. Aegis Slash is an ability is an effect on itself, so we don't have to worry about that. Dialga's Chrono Wind is the only thing we were worried about because it's an effect placed onto my Mega Ampharos and not himself. But other than that, things are looking pretty good. We have nothing but item cards, and I'm assuming my opponent has a pretty good hand of item cards as well. And so we just pretty much clogged up his deck. We slowed it down to the point where we're doing okay. And so yeah, so Vileplume is just there, being Vileplume. And we almost have another Ampharos ready. We just need one more electric energy. So we are in good shape. My opponent is probably looking at what he can do or looking at what I attacked him with, because I'm pretty sure Ampharos is not a very seen card. So he puts on another Shaman to draw more cards. He only can draw 2 because he could not play the other items I'm assuming he had. He puts on Skyfield, which gets rid of our Shiny Memories, which is a big bummer because now we can't attack Aegis Slash. We're not able to use Shiny Memories. He does play Shiny for another 5, and I'm assuming again once his hand is also filled with item cards, he puts on Regigigas, which I am actually confused about. I didn't know they ran Regigigas, or if that was his own card he put into this. He does put another Rayquaza down, and that is the end of his turn. Unfortunately, I cannot knock out this Pokemon because of my double colorless energy. I wish I had the other energy on the Ampharos-EX, my benched Mega Ampharos, so I could just retreat and use Exevolve and knock it out. I'm just checking here to see if it's effects and attacks or just damage. And it's just damage, it's not effects. So I'm doing Exevolve, so I paralyze my opponent, that way he can't mighty, I believe it's Shield Blast me. I'm not exactly sure the name of Aegis Slash's attack. I'm pretty much stalling him out. He's using Aegis Slash to stall me, and I'm using Ampharos' actual attack to stall him. So I'm doing damage to myself, but I'm able to basically deny Aegis Slash from knocking me out. He does AZ back up the Shaman and puts it back down for another fresh hand of 6. He drew about 4, I believe. So my opponent is now pretty much just thinking what he can do. He passes a turn. We don't draw anything good. We draw another VTCGO, which isn't amazing. So I'm just going to go and Exevolve again to paralyze him. My opponent is getting the other Rayquaza ready. I'm pretty sure he's looking for the Mega. We'll see how this turns up. But let's see. So yeah, he attached another energy. I'm not sure if he manually attached or if he actually attached from Bronzong's ability. But I didn't check in all honesty. I was more worried about getting a last energy or getting another Shiny Memories. So I was just looking back to see what I had played, and I didn't have played too much. I draw one of my many tech cards in this deck. I draw Hex Maniac, which in all honesty I actually forgot about it. And Hex Maniac basically allows us to knock out Aegis Slash now because his ability is no longer in effect. And we just do Exevolve just to do the maximum paralyzed damage. However, it does knock me out because I did too much damage to myself, but it does knock out the Aegis Slash. So all you have to do is pick up 2 prize cards. We gotta pick up 1. We gotta promote a new active, and then we take our prize cards. So there we go. Speed Speed Ampharos, I guess you would call it. But it basically Ampharos Vileplume taking on Mega Ray, and that's pretty much how the deck runs. You just gotta play it as risky as possible, and you'll get the best results. It took 8 turns, about 3 or 4 of them were stalling, but pretty much not too bad. But yes, in order to run this deck, you kind of have to just play it as fast as possible, and try not to waste too many great things in one turn, and if you can, just keep the most viable things in the deck, like Hex Maniacs and Lysanders. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Also, at this point, I'm not going to upload every Thursday. I'm just going to upload whenever the deck I feel is ready to be uploaded. So that's why this one kind of came up a little late, but hopefully it wasn't too big with a thing. Another thing I want to do is I want you guys to comment on the bottom a Pokemon you want to see from Ancient Origins you want to see a deck made of. So I can just make a deck, and I'll probably take them to tournaments and just play with them on the tournaments and see how that works out. But that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please leave a like, and that's about it. Have a great day, guys.